Content is for adult collectors of the hobby and a general audience of 13 years or older.
I'm Beybladers, Blade Bay X here. I'm on the road currently at the moment. I've gone back to my home country, hometown to visit family with my son for a little bit. I'm also here working right now, so it's been very hard to keep any decent upload schedule. But I don't know if you've seen the short I made. One of my oldest friends in the world that I used to play Beyblades with when we were little kids. He came through with a little bag of old Beyblade parts he didn't want anymore. I also picked up a couple things for delivery while I was back here in the UK. What I've done for you today is I've kicked it super old school. Hopefully tug at those nostalgic strings in some of you OG Beybladers hearts, and if anyone who wasn't part of the original plastic gen watching this is kind of like what we used to do when we were younger and playing. You didn't know what bits and pieces you'd have to build with. You didn't know if your parents were buying you real or fake Beyblades or anything really. So you just build with what you got, and more importantly, you just play wherever you could. I was lucky, I had 2 different beystadiums throughout my original career as a Beyblader, and some friends had stadiums, but we just played in the dirt, on the floor, in the bathtub. Like the pinnacle of the home stadiums was like a really good wok. I'd get slapped so hard by my mother anytime she caught me using one of her good woks for Beyblades. So angry at me. I'm gonna build some old school combos, and we're gonna go through some OG beystadiums, seeing what we used to use. Stick around during the video. Something I want to talk about is our Beyblade League that I'm starting in Phuket for the local kids to play. There's some news on that, so stay tuned. So here's the bag of OG parts that my friend Ben dropped off to me. It's a mix of Hasbro parts, which I've put on the left, Takara parts, which I've put here on the right. I haven't included all the fake parts in this build because, yeah, I wanted to keep it with all the authentic parts. Here's a couple of things that I bought myself to pick up here in the UK. So 2 wide defense weight discs, still sealed, a big 200 yen for those bad boys. And I picked up another metal trigger. This is a Takara Tomy one. I don't know if you can see the Takara logo there in the light, but mainly for the heavy metal core. But again, it comes with another 10 heavy, and the attack ring is a vital part of our AI Ultimate Beyblade, so that's always appreciated now. So let's see what we can build. My goal really here is to get 2 combos together. After taking everything apart, I realized the heavy metal core will be useless because I don't have any of the Neo spin gears or anything that can house it other than the metal trigger base itself, which is balls. So yeah, we're not using that. Got some options to use the Hasbro Seaborg base or Dragoon S base, but I use them a lot, so I'm going to go with this Grip Attacker base. Man, I love this thing, it's so cool, and this is one of Ben's originally used parts. So because it's a Grip Attacker, rubber tip, we're going to make an attack combo with it, so I figured 10 heavy is the way to go. The metal trigger attack ring turns out is really good, but again, we've used that in other combos. Grifolian is okay, but personally I'm not a big fan, and Trigal's meant to be great. Haven't used it a lot, but Plastic DB says it's a decent attack ring, so let's give it a go. And yes, it does indeed rip appropriately. So yeah, there's our first combo done. Next, I want to make more of a defensive or stamina type. Mainly just as an excuse to use one of these wide survivor weight discs. I've never actually owned one of these. I had a singular wide defense when I was a kid, but yeah, didn't survive the purging of my childhood stuff in the attic. So we have this palm tip. It is proper battered. It's got a left spin gear in it at the moment. And out of the attack rings, I figured Roller Attacker would be decent, but just checking the profile between Wide Survivor, the semi-flat base, and the the attack ring for roller attacker, it would pretty much just be the weight disc doing all the work. Whereas the Galman attack ring and sub attack ring, the Warlion one, sorry, it's a really nice flush kind of matching profile, which is just satisfying for me to look at. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. So here I figured I'd actually go with the palm tip. One, we're using old school stuff, and this one's battered from using it on the playground floor and all the random stadiums we used to build when we were kids. And yeah, this is a bit of homage to one of my mate Ben's old combos. The palm tip from Warborg 1 and the Galman attack ring were loose in the bag, and I just remembered that he used to use these two together all the time in left spin. Not like it was anything on purpose, but yeah, these are our two combos. Let's check them out. So here's our first stadium and our launcher setup for today. So the stadium is what I was a kid, I would always think of this as like a popcorn bowl. This is what mum would make popcorn in and chuck it in. But it's just a deep bowl, and as a kid you'd see this and you'd be like, yeah, that's a stadium. Like, that's deep enough, that's stadium shaped, it'll be great. Reality is you just grind against the walls, the dishes like kind of like tapered outwards, so you just ram it around the walls, you lose all your stamina. You try and go for some crazy launches, doing it around the walls of the stadium, never work out. But this I've always thought was like premium makeshift stadium. The lid of any large saucepan or wok was perfect. Spoilers, well, not really spoilers, but when I got back into Beyblades more recently, before I picked up a stadium, I would just turn one of these upside down and like buffer it, keep it upright with pillows or like my duvet, and that's what me and my son were playing, or that's what me and my son were playing Beyblades in, and it was a lot of fun. The only problem is knockouts are constant, especially with later generation Beyblades, because they don't catch on the lip of the lid very well. So yeah, knockouts all the time, and of course there's the screw in the middle and the random notch. It's kind of like almost a stadium gimmick. You don't quite get an X dash off of it, but it's something, keeps it interesting. But if you're in a pinch for a base stadium, this would be one of my top recommendations. So this tray here, this is the kind of thing I'd be stuck playing with if I was at my nan's. This is the closest you'd have to something I could use, or I'd be allowed to use. And yeah, it was not good. Let's get rid of that. Now, I mentioned before that my mum would absolutely batter me if I stole one of her good woks to use as a base stadium, and they were amazing, and I was super tempted to take one for this video, but instead I have pinched one of her ceramic smaller frying pans, because I know it can take the damage. I'm not going to scratch it up, and again, they're still okay. The main issue again is that it's so hard that the moment you hit the outside of the stadium, your stamina is going to go, and you're likely to wreck your Beyblades in the process. If you can get a bigger, wider wok and you're not getting in trouble for it, I'd recommend that. This was a completely random one, but in the spirit of an OG blader, I just thought I had to have a launch on it. This reminded me of when we used to play in bathtubs and the Beyblades would just never hit each other. Washing basket here, and just like I remember, they'd get jammed in the sides of the corner, lose all stamina, and you would be beaten by the stadium. But you turn one of these bad boys upside down, and you legit have one of the best stadiums I think you could get when you're a kid, and you didn't have a genuine stadium to play in. The only difference is you'd have about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids launching on top of this thing at the same time. Very rarely would it just be a one-on-one matchup. Again, this is something I'd recommend giving a go. Not a traditional Beyblade shape, but you can play on it, and because it's plastic as well, the Beyblades seem to move around a bit easier. If you can get one that's a little bit more dipped in the middle, fantastic. This one has the tiniest little ring in the middle that has a slight dip to it, So if they meet there, then fantastic. But yeah, your Beyblades are going to be pretty safe playing on something like this. The stamina is going to work. Any rubber parts are going to grip on well. And yeah, if you haven't got anything else, but you've got a washing basket in the house, flip it upside down and give it a go. So I hope you found those old school combos and attempts at beystadiums at least amusing. Now with our Beyblade League starting in Phuket, some awesome news. We have 10 kids signed up for our first tournament already, so they'll probably be turn-ups on the day. It's always the way it goes, which I don't mind. It's completely free. They can just jump in, play with their Beyblades, borrow Beyblades, no problem at all. But something else that's really, really cool, it looks like our first tournament will be the weekend of the 19th of July. Now I know Beyblade X will already be released in Japan by then, and I have pre-orders that I've paid a good amount of money that should be delivered within 3 working days of when it's posted for Mall of Toys. If they manage to post them on the 15th, fantastic, I don't know. But I've managed to secure one of the Koro event Beyblade X stadiums with the fancy red trim on. That's at my house in Phuket waiting for me now. So that at least means even if we don't get all the product arrive soon, as soon as it should be, by the time we do that tournament, I'll be able to print off some more of the Metal Fight adapter tips, and kids will be able to try out the Beyblade X Stadium and actually use the X gimmick with their Metal Fight bays. So we'll be able to do group battles in one of the DB stadiums. I've got the Burst standard stadium for them to do, and we also now have the X Stadium that they'll be able to play in as well. So all of them will be good to use their Metal Fight bays in. I'm sure some of them have some Burst, but 100% of them have Metal Fight bays, and we've got Metal Fight combos ready. So I'm super looking forward to that. Saturday 19th, 1 p.m. at #toy. If you're in Phuket, you're a local there and you want to jump into a free tournament and you're interested, come along, more the merrier. Really excited to start a little community in Phuket for Beyblade. Other news is that it looks like most of the rest of Asia, Philippines, Thailand and such, they'll be getting Beyblade X releases, official releases in November. So in the long term, not that long to wait. So I've seen that the first tournament announcement for Beyblade X in Bangkok is in November. Fingers crossed I can get into that one myself. Really looking forward to it. I want to actually get myself to some tournaments, anything that's available within reason. I can't fly to Bangkok every weekend, that's just not possible. But if that's where their tournaments are going to be for bigger things, I'm going to try to get to those. But running some fun free stuff for the younger kids in Phuket, that's my goal at the moment. If it turns into something bigger, fantastic. I'll worry about that when that happens. But right now, just making sure they get somewhere to play, that's enough for me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you following me. I hope this has been okay. I haven't got the same lighting, audio stuff available to me that I normally do if I'm filming something back home. Please do all the good YouTube stuff, like, share, subscribe. We're really close to that 500 sub mark now, and I want to do something special for that. So jump in the comments, give me some ideas. I'm going to be making another plastic tournament video soon. I've got combos in mind already, and a couple of those are from our top commenters. So if you want to see your combos get in there, drop it in the comments. If I can make it, I'll definitely give it a go. Thank you so much, everyone. Check out our TikTok, BladeBayX on everything. Peace.